Welcome to the Bitcoin Developer Project. The world is filled with aspiring Bitcoin developers, and I've had the opportunity to interact with thousands of them. About 1 in every 100 in my experience ends up working in Bitcoin either in a job or in open source. This is an incredibly leaky bucket, and while we continue to invest in education, it's been a path that's been littered with frustration and loneliness for the devs that are just trying to get a foothold. Now, there's a few reasons for this. The first is that Bitcoin is just plain not inviting. So we might have some docs, but they aren't visually appealing or interactive. And even if we do have these websites, what we don't have are dances or a welcoming culture. Secondly, we don't provide pathing. So if we are serious about courting thousands or even millions of future developers, we need to give them some guidance because many of them are wandering around, not knowing where they're headed, wasting a lot of energy, and again, experiencing that frustration and loneliness. And we, like other open source communities in general, are US and European centric rather than having representatives from places that Bitcoin is arguably most useful. So if we can address these issues, we will have a fighting chance of capturing the mindshare of future devs who would otherwise end up in altcoin land or even worse. It's a problem that we cannot afford to continue to ignore. For the past few months, this has been the team that has been heads down on addressing this issue. And what we're going to tell you about is the last month of adding AI and bringing these products to life. I'm going to walk you through an ecosystem that we're building, where if a dev is looking for something technical in Lightning or in Bitcoin, despite all that Google knows about them, they'll be met with irrelevant results. And so we've built something called Bitcoin Search. Now, Bitcoin Search has been around for the last few months, and so it goes beyond the scope of this hackathon. But this search is only populated with high signal sources, for example, Bitcoin transcripts. And Bitcoin transcripts is another project that's been around for a while. Most of these have been done by hand by a guy named Brian Bishop. He's been working on these, writing these various conferences for the last 12 or 13 years. But with recent developments in speech-to-text models, we can now transcribe any audio or video recordings and allow Bitcoiners to correct these machine-made transcripts and get paid for that work. So if we're going to claim something like this podcast, when a reviewer submits a corrected review, they're not just learning from that experience, they're pushing their transcripts back to a corpus which feeds into Bitcoin Search, enabling us all to get more precise information. So you don't really need to know anything about a Git workflow or all that much besides actually following along. You can see the source here, and we're gonna open this PR, and we're gonna fork this repo. We're gonna create a PR on the user's behalf, and again, they don't need to know anything about Git at all. And here it is, and it's all formatted nicely for them. So one of the high signal sources in Bitcoin Search is the Bitcoin Dev and Lightning Dev mailing lists. And the problem with these mailing lists is that they're quite inaccessible for the average person. So you've probably encountered this before. You go to this wall of links and you don't really know where to start, where this thing begins. It actually doesn't traverse multiple months. It's very inaccessible for the average person, not to mention that they're quite dense and difficult to follow. And so we've built a tool that allows all of us to quickly consume and really understand and contextualize these conversations. And this is called TLDR. So TLDR is a way to, if you're looking for Lightning Dev discussions, or you're looking for Bitcoin Dev discussions, we've also built in search. So if you're looking for something specific, we can do that for you as well. And all of this matters because these sources are then fed not just into keyword search, but also into an interactive chatbot called ChatBTC. So what does something like this do for the learner? Well, it creates an engaging conversation. And this engaging conversation can happen at any time of the day or night. And it allows learners to ask questions as they fall down the rabbit hole. And these questions, of course, are then fed back into this ecosystem that we've created, and in fact may point to the very same sources that some of the learners may have created with their transcription review. This is our AI-enabled Bitcoin Dev project. and it's going to help reduce learner friction, keep onboarders motivated, and help us all fall a little deeper in love with the technical side of Bitcoin.